Maybe I'm dreaming. Pinch me. Not on the butt.
There's a reason Boy Meets World still feels like comfort food decades later. On paper, it's a sweet coming-of-age story. Awkward kid, brilliant soulmate, best friend with a chip on his shoulder, and the kind of teacher every kid wishes they had. But under that warm TGIF glow, the show swung for the fences. It experimented with tone, tossed in meta-jokes, stitched together horror homages, and let its characters grow in messy human ways instead of keeping them stuck in sitcom stasis. It wasn't afraid to get weird, like really weird, and that's exactly why it still hits. We're digging into 15 of the most surprising, offbeat, and delightfully odd facts behind the series. Stuff you'll recognize once you hear it, and a few you may have missed. From cast shakeups and episodes that went full slasher spoof to inside jokes, real-life relationships, and that time a character just wandered off. Boy Meets World packed a lot of TV history into 7 seasons. If you loved Cory and Topanga, rooted for Shawn, and secretly took notes from Mr. Feeny, this countdown is for you. Before we dive in, do me a favor. If you love nostalgic deep dives like this, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps more 90s kids and new fans find the channel. Alright, let's roll into the countdown. 15. Topanga's name was picked on a whim. Topanga sounds like a name that took a writer's room all-nighter and a baby name book. In reality, it was more happy accident than master plan. The story goes that the name was grabbed off a Los Angeles freeway sign, Topanga Canyon, when a writer needed something unique, fast. It fit the vibe, whimsical, offbeat, and a little mysterious, which matched the early quirky version of Topanga before the character evolved into the show's emotional center. That spontaneous choice ended up branding one of 90s TV's most iconic couples. It's a reminder of how often TV magic comes from quick decisions that just feel right in the moment. And because audiences embraced both the name and the character, that offhand pick essentially crystallized the show's romantic identity for 7 seasons. Rewatch tip: compare early, earthy, eccentric Topanga to her later grounded valedictorian vibe. Same name, 2 phases, 1 arc. 14. Mr. Feeny's other iconic role gave him gravitas. William Daniels didn't just play the wise mentor. He literally sounded like authority to a generation. Long before Boy Meets World, Daniels voiced Kit, the impossibly cool talking car from Knight Rider, which meant he came into the role already carrying a weighty presence. That unique cadence made Feeny more than a punchline machine. He felt like a mentor whose words mattered. The show leaned into that aura without turning him into a cartoon. Feeny could be stern, funny, even exasperated, but he was never small. The result? A TV teacher who felt mythic and human at once. Someone whose advice you could imagine echoing years after graduation. That preloaded credibility let the writers attempt big, quiet moments, pauses, looks, and simple sentences that landed like speeches. Watch the finale's last classroom scene to see how silence, then a single line, does all the heavy lifting. 13. Eric Matthews' wild transformation. Early series Eric was the good-looking, slightly shallow older brother. As the seasons rolled on, he morphed into a delightful agent of absurdity, part slapstick, part surrealism, with moments like the plays with squirrels, future gag sealing his legend. It shouldn't have worked, but it did, because it gave the show a pressure valve when plots got heavy. Eric's goofiness offered tonal contrast to Cory Topanga's sincerity and Shawn's drama. He also delivered the show's most quotable non-Feeny lines, turning side bits into fan-favorite moments. That comedic swing helped Boy Meets World keep its energy up through the later seasons, proving that a calculated character pivot can extend a sitcom's life. Crucially, the writers still gave Eric flashes of heart, so the chaos never erased his core. Check his protective moments with Jack, and his awkward yet earnest Feeny admiration. Beneath the bits, he really cares. 12. The slasher movie episode that became a cult classic. And Then There Was Shawn is the crown jewel of TGIF oddities. It's a full-on horror pastiche. Classroom lockdown, masked figure, self-aware jokes, and a meta twist. The episode riffs on Scream-era tropes while still being unmistakably Boy Meets World, using horror to explore Shawn's fear of abandonment and change. It's packed with Easter eggs and features a teen idol cameo that doubled the wink to the audience. The magic is balance. Genuine scares mingling with genuine heart. For many fans, this one episode stands as proof that the series could play in any sandbox and still feel true. It also became a gateway rewatch. Non-fans see this, and suddenly they get the show's range and courage. Look for the rules of the genre gags and the way the final reveal folds back into Shawn's emotional life. 11. The cult episode went way harder than anyone expected. Shawn's brush with a cult, framed as a search for belonging, was shockingly intense for a Friday night sitcom slot. It wasn't a very special episode with a tidy PSA. It was a textured look at how isolation and grief make people vulnerable to manipulation. The group's leader felt believably charismatic, and the stakes felt real. The resolution wasn't magic either. It took the entire friend-family network, and yes, Feeny's steady perspective, to pull Shawn back. This willingness to push beyond sitcom comfort zones gave the show a credibility that kept older viewers watching alongside kids. It also aged well. Modern audiences see it as a smart, empathetic portrait of how communities rescue people from the margins. Rewatch The Quiet Beats with Turner and Feeny. Authority figures disagree, but both model care, showing multiple pathways out of a bad spiral. 10. Mr. Turner's Vanishing Act. Jonathan Turner rode in on a motorcycle and felt like the cool teacher counterpart to Feeny's classicism. He mentored Shawn, challenged Cory, and looked poised for a long arc. Then came the motorcycle crash. And then, silence. He basically disappeared from the narrative, leaving fans to wonder. The absence became its own sort of lore. The ultimate, wait, what happened to that guy? For 90s TV. Years later, the character would reappear in the wider franchise, but within Boy Meets World proper, the abrupt exit added to the show's patchwork of oddities, proof that even beloved arcs can get lost in the churn of production realities. The mystery turned into a fandom bonding point, spawning theories and rewatch debates for decades. It also underlined how fragile mentorship can feel to teens. Here, then gone, with unresolved feelings in the empty space. 9. Real-life couple on campus. Behind the scenes, Boy Meets World had a charming real-life romance. William Daniels, Feeny, and Bonnie Bartlett, who appeared during the college years, are married in real life. Both are decorated performers with Emmy pedigrees, which added an extra sparkle whenever they shared screen space. It's one of those delightful crossovers between fiction and reality that fans love to point out. Suddenly, a throwaway scene carries more warmth than you realized. Knowing that the mentor figure you grew up with had his own long-running love story off camera made the college-era episodes feel a little cozier, like the show's family had expanded behind the lens too. It's a subtle Easter egg that deepens the found family vibe the series championed. Keep an eye on their scenes together. There's an ease there that reads as lived in affection, not just blocking. 8. The Disney World Chase episode was peak TGIF synergy. When Cory chases Topanga to Disney World, the series turns teen romance into a theme park epic. Shooting on location, the show folded rides, landmarks, and park iconography into a story about grand gestures and young love. It was cross-promotion at its slickest. A feel-good episode that doubled as a brochure without losing the emotional thread. The park's scale amplified the stakes. Cory's heart on the line, sprinting through crowds under fireworks. For a generation of viewers, It solidified the idea that relationships can be both everyday and cinematic. If the TGIF brand had a postcard, this episode would be on it. And the episode's rewatch value? Off the charts, nostalgia times, vacation fantasy. Notice how the setting lets the show stage big visual metaphors. Distance closed, obstacles navigated, a reunion framed by spectacle. 7. Topanga was nearly someone else. Early on, Topanga's role wasn't locked in. The character began as a quirky side presence, and behind the scenes there was uncertainty about how central she'd be, or who would ultimately define her. Then came the kind of audition to performance that changes a series' destiny. Danielle Fishel brought warmth, wit, and a grounded intelligence that evolved the character from eccentric kid to the show's moral anchor. She could match Cory laugh for laugh and heart for heart, which made the long arc romance believable. It's a classic TV butterfly effect. One casting swing turns into 7 seasons of chemistry. Her performance also gave the writers permission to deepen stories about ambition, loyalty, and choice. Watch late season conflicts about college and career. Topanga's choices feel like a person's, not a plot device, because the actor built that inner life. 6. Whatever happened to Minkus? Season 1's brainy overachiever, Stuart Minkus, seemed set up as Cory's academic foil, and then vanished when the gang moved to high school. The show never dwelled on it. He was just gone. Years later, the writers paid it off with a meta gag at graduation, where Minkus pops up and jokes that he's been on the other side of the hall the whole time. It was a smart, self-aware nod that acknowledged the quiet reshuffle of the ensemble. The cameo doubled as fan service, a reminder that Boy Meets World knew its own gaps and wasn't afraid to wink when it filled them. It's the perfect example of sitcom elasticity used for charm rather than confusion. Bonus rewatch. Clock how Minkus's presence in early episodes frames Cory's average kid identity. When he exits, Cory's growth lane opens up. 5. The Morgan swap that jokingly broke the fourth wall. Cory's little sister Morgan disappeared for a stretch and returned with a different actress, and the show didn't pretend otherwise. It lampshaded the recast with a cheeky line, turning a production reality into a punchline. That self-awareness was part of Boy Meets World's charm. It trusted the audience to be in on the joke. Recasting is common on long-running shows, but acknowledging it directly gave the moment a cult favorite status. It also signaled the writer's willingness to play with format and tone, reminding viewers that this world operated with a flexible, good-humored logic. The bit became a shorthand for the series' playful honesty about TV's moving parts. Track Morgan's evolving energy post-recast. The character shifts slightly sillier, which subtly rebalances the Matthews household dynamics. 4. Before they were famous guest stars. Rewatch the series, and you'll spot familiar faces who later blew up, popping in as love interests, jerks, or one-episode foils. The show functioned like a time capsule of 90s TV talent on the cusp, giving future stars a proving ground opposite an already tight ensemble. These cameos landed because they weren't treated as stunt casting. They served the story first. Years later, fans play Spot the Star on rewatches, turning background roles into little treasure hunts. It's part of why Boy Meets World remains rewatchable. You discover something new, or someone new, every time. Those early turns also reveal how well the core cast could host guest energy without losing their own rhythm. Keep an eye out for the troublemaker crowd and memorable one-episode romances. Seeds of later A-list careers are right there. 3. The Feeny follow-through. Teacher, principal, dean. Mr. Feeny isn't just a teacher, he's narrative glue. As the characters advance, Feeny advances with them. Teacher in middle school, principal in high school, dean in college. It's a bold choice that could have felt contrived, but the writing frames it as an ongoing relationship with education, growth, and mentorship. Feeny doesn't helicopter. He's simply there when guidance is needed, refusing to let the kids coast. The continuity gives the series a mythic through line. Wherever Cory, Shawn, and Topanga go, wisdom is there too. It's rare for a sitcom to literalize mentorship across life stages, and that's a big reason the finale hits so hard. That thread turns school into a sacred space, not just a set. Listen to how often Feeny's advice is about character, not grades. He's shaping adults, not transcripts. 2. Theme song identity crisis, in the best way. Boy Meets World rotated opening sequences and themes to mirror the gang's maturation and the 90s shifting vibe. Early seasons felt classroom cozy. Later ones leaned into road trip breeziness and college-era energy. Those changes weren't just cosmetic. They quietly reintroduced the show each year, signaling to viewers that the tone and stakes were leveling up. It's easy to overlook, but the cumulative effect is powerful. When you binge the series, those openings become chapter markers in a long, shared adolescence. The music, the typography, the montage choices. Each iteration says, "We're growing. Stay with us." Even the different color palettes map onto the show's widening world. Try lining up the openings back to back. You'll feel the series transform from school hall sitcom to young adult dramedy in under a minute. 1. The final bell that stuck the landing. The last classroom scene is spare. No fireworks, no grand stunts. Just an intimate goodbye that distills 7 seasons into a few words. The characters return to the room where it started, and Feeny offers the kind of parting wisdom that makes you feel both proud and a little wrecked. It's quiet on purpose. The show that played with horror, metagags, and Disney spectacle ends with stillness. The effect is earned sentiment, not syrup. It invites you to remember your own teachers, your own last days in a familiar room. When the bell rings on Boy Meets World, it feels like a blessing, wrapped as a farewell. The restraint proves confidence. They trusted silence more than spectacle. Watch the characters' faces. Those micro reactions sell the goodbye as much as any line ever could. Conclusion. Boy Meets World worked because it believed growth is both hilarious and hard. The weird we covered, slasher spoofs, meta winks, sudden exits, surprise returns, casting close calls, wasn't just novelty. It was the show's way of stress testing sincerity. Cory and Topanga's romance felt real precisely because the world around them could get absurd. Shawn's struggles mattered because the series trusted us with raw edges. Feeny's guidance landed because the show made space for silence and consequence. That blend, playful form, earnest heart, is why it still resonates with new viewers and old fans who know every line. If you've got a favorite deep cut moment we missed, maybe an underrated guest star, or a single joke that lives rent-free, drop it in the comments. And tell me which TGIF classic you want next in the Weird Facts series. If you haven't already, tap like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Class dismissed.